What is up, my brothers from another mother? Today's video is a sponsor request from a viewer who is in a marriage where his sexual marketplace value has increased significantly and his wife's has decreased. I talked to you guys a lot about making sure you chase excellence because in a long-term relationship or marriage, you're going to have to do a lot of work. But now we've got a guy in a situation where he's done the work and the wife has relaxed. So let's dive into it, see what his problem is, offer some feedback. Towards the end of the video, I'll tell you how to do these requests, but let's hop right into it. So this guy goes, doesn't want himself identified. So what we'll do is just read his request. So he is 36 years old, lives in Florida, been married for 9 years with a nearly 4-year-old daughter, dog, and a cat. In 2005, met his future wife while he was an engineering graduate student pursuing a PhD, and she was already working professional as a school teacher. We started dating in 2006. Prior to that, I never had sex. Oh boy. So he was a virgin when he got married, let alone been in a relationship of any kind aside from very few limiting dating experiences. And in 2009, we got married. Guys, I've talked before about what to do with your 20s. This guy chose a different path. This is where it can take you if you don't spend your 20s figuring yourself out, not getting into long-term relationships, spinning a few plates, figuring out who you are and what your place is as a man. More importantly, building your foundation for your own life. So we're off to a somewhat of a limited start because he doesn't have a lot of experience on the marketplace. But anyway, between the beginning of the relationship and now, he's realized his SMV, for those of you that are new to my channel, that sexual marketplace value has increased substantially. I started lifting weights regularly in 2005 and now have the body to show for it, complete with six-pack abs, well-defined Adonis belt, and earned his PhD in engineering in 2008 before we married. Now has a prestigious, well-paying job as a faculty in an engineering college of a major university. Along the way, I even got my teeth straightened a second time. Wear your retainers at night until you're dead and buried, people. That's good advice. Your teeth will move if you don't continue to use them. Anyway, now he has a killer smile, makes him feel like $1,000,000 every time I see himself in the mirror, and gives him soaring confidence around people. So he's got the V taper, broad shoulders, narrow waist, killer smile, great engineering job. It's like he's ticked off a lot of the 6'6s, right? 6'6s are 6 foot tall, six-pack abs, six-figure income, 600 horsepower car, 6 months out of a relationship. What's the last one? 6 inches in the pants. So trouble with his marriage starts 3 years ago. Started feeling less attraction, desire towards my wife with a nagging feeling that I could do better. Her hair was always a mess. Her crooked teeth were a major turnoff, particularly after he got his fix. And she was always acting in an annoying mommy mode. Not sure what that means. It was like she completely lost any semblance of game. Women don't need game. They just have to look pretty. So let's clarify that. They just have to look attractive. So what you're basically saying is she's no longer attractive to you. Men are success objects to women. Women are beauty objects to men. Women will leave a marriage or a relationship when she feels like her hypergamy is no longer optimized and, Steve from accounting looks like a better option than her husband. If he relaxes and slips, gets fat, lazy, stops chasing excellence, loses his job, can't hold down a job, and somebody more attractive comes along, that's an option for her. She's going to look at that. This guy, on the other hand, because his wife has relaxed and he's become incredibly or more attractive, he feels anyway. That's what's motivating him to look outside now. So it drove him insane to the point that he ended up at his doctor's office experimenting with new antidepressants. That's never a good thing, dude, which I admittedly have had a need to take regularly for the last 12 years. That might be part of your problem. I don't know what you're on, but let me just go big here because it's an important statement. I don't know what you're on, dude, but guys that go on antidepressants people in general, when they go on antidepressants, it changes mood considerably. Their sex drive changes considerably. Their endocrine system changes. There should be no need for it. If you're healthy, strong, you're working out, you're chasing excellence, you got your thing going on, you might want to check your endocrine system to see if there's a deficiency somewhere that you can fix as far as your hormone imbalances. Because popping a pill to try to solve depression, who said this once? Somebody said something along the lines of, before you think that you're depressed and you need a prescription antidepressant, first make sure you're not surrounded by assholes. So I'm not saying your wife is a hole or anything, but that might be why you're depressed, right? Yourself and the environment that you've put yourself in. So it doesn't help. He even got to the point of seeing several therapists to work on his issues to try to get to the point where I could be comfortable and accepting of my wife and be happy, but I have not been able to do so. You can't, like, I don't know why guys go to therapists to try to find, somebody attractive that they're not attracted to. You can't negotiate desire. You're either attracted to somebody or you're not. Men are attracted to feminine women. Feminine women with a Coke bottle shape, with the curves, with a pretty face, with the nice hair, with the makeup, all that stuff. You can't change that. No amount of, fat acceptance or anything like that is going to make you want to find somebody like that attractive. We like straight teeth. That is a biological part of our programming. We seek good genes. That's I don't know. It's as simple as that. Anyway. So he's forcing himself on antidepressants. He's forcing himself to see therapists to try to find somebody attractive he doesn't find attractive. At one point, we're in therapy together, though to be sure she didn't want to go because she was of the opinion that I had the problems. Well, that's pretty typical. It's always the dude's fault, right? And she wanted me to make a list of things I wanted her to fix. Begrudgingly, I might add. So she agreed to try to make her hair look better and do orthodontic treatment, and not to be so annoying around me with our daughter. And for a couple of months, I was actually fairly settled and feeling a lot, thinking that at some point down the line, she was going to be desirable to me again. And then 2 months into the orthodontic treatment, she started experiencing complications and decided to stop the treatment. I don't know what kind of complications you're getting from, Invisalign or braces. It's a pretty straightforward process. I'm still not sure if the complications were legitimate or not. I suspect it probably wasn't. Anyway, you should have some clarification on that. If there's some medical reason why you can't continue with, orthodontics, make it known. Once that happened, we had a giant fight, and I realized nothing had to change. She wasn't going to be more attractive or desirable to me. Now I find myself in a marriage where there's no longer any desire, at least on my end, and I'm constantly fantasizing about how I can possibly do better and get better with more attractive women. Guys always like to try to take me on task, especially the white knights and some of the women. Men are hypergamous too. No, they're not. Not at all. And this is evidence right here. Right here. Proof in the pudding. Men are not hypergamous. Men like attractive feminine women. That's when men start looking around. See, men have a biological desire to scatter seed to attractive women. Women have the biological desire to optimize their hypergamy and lock down the best provisioning male, right? So that's what he's doing. He's finding himself in a situation where he's no longer attracted to what he signed up for. Things changed. She was the one that relaxed. She was the one that became less attractive to him, and he got better. One of the most interesting videos of yours is the one about the guy with a wife who turned him down for sex. Your advice to him was to make sure he had adequate game, which I agree with, yet I have no trouble getting sex with my wife because I have adequate game. It's because you're a handsome, good-looking dude. She wants to be with you because you're a man pursuing excellence. You bring home the bacon. You are the dude. At the risk of sounding somewhat conceited, he says, it's just that I don't really want it from her. She usually wants it from me, and I'm usually trying to figure out a way to get out of it because I'm not interested. Not to say I'm not interested in sex, just not with her, though I've never strayed the marriage. So she often gets upset that I'm not more interested in trying to date her, but it's hard for me to feel like doing that when she literally has no game. Again, I think what you mean by no game is attraction, beauty, femininity, because you have no attraction. While I spent the last 10 plus years becoming a much better version of myself, like you say, and getting game in the process, I get much more enjoyment from spending time with my daughter, just the two of them, our pets, going to work, and my recently rekindled interest in playing guitar. That's another attractive thing that women like. They love artistic guys that, are able to express themselves, especially with music. If you're great with music, singing and playing guitar, your SMV will be higher. You will be attractive. So I can see why you're dealing with this dynamic. You've got the crooked tooth, boring school teacher that's completely relaxed in her marriage, and here you are playing guitar, getting PhDs, broad shoulders, straight teeth. All right. Anyway, then I do spending with my wife, intimately or otherwise. Guitar playing in particular makes me feel great because it provides an outlet for me to focus my frustrations in addition to lifting weights. It really makes me feel stimulated and excited. Even the things she does that would be indicative of having game, putting on sexy clothes, making her hair look nice, which even then she still looks pretty bad. Putting on makeup aren't being done or on part of the gender desire to have game. But because I have asked her to do these things, and so she's doing it out of obligation, which is negotiated desire, which she's quoting here. Yes, I'm aware that genuine desire cannot be negotiated, as I've just finished reading through The Rational Male. By the way, guys, if you haven't read any of Rollo's books, it's pinned in the description below. Grab a copy, read it. Get started there if you're having questions about what's going on here in this broadcast, in this video. Okay, so he doesn't get turned on. We're almost done here, guys. If I had to ballpark our SMVs, I'd probably put mine at an 8, at least based on my $85,000 a year salary. Very high for where I live. No debt except for our mortgage. No debt except for mortgage, mostly paid off. Education, great physical condition. He's 36, but I often get mistaken for a student where he works. So he was working at a university, so I look very young. Before I met my wife, my SMV was probably a 5 at best. The biggest, no pun intended, knock against me is probably that I'm 5'7". Okay, well, you don't have the full 6'6" tier, but you have enough that she desires you. I mean, she wants to sleep with you, obviously, and she's pissed that you're not, reciprocating. So not much you can do about the height, but it sounds like you've optimized everything else. So you're doing a good job, right? But it isn't something I'm insecure about or let bother me because of. Now, that's cool, dude, because a lot of guys fucking complain to me all the time about, I'm not tall enough, I'm never going to find a girl, when. Well, it doesn't really matter if you got game. I know a guy that's like 5'5" that does very well out there. So, you can maximize your strengths, minimize your weaknesses. If you try to focus and work on your weaknesses, all you're going to have is really strong weaknesses. You can't do anything about your height. Yeah, you can wear, shoe inserts or whatever, but whatever. I'm going to move on from that. So if I had to ballpark my wife's SMV, he says she's a 4 to a 5. So he's several points higher than her. So she's optimized her hypergamy. He's very attractive to her. But when you take into account age, attractiveness, job, she makes about half as much, having a child, etc. Okay. As I'm now aware, she has done a great job of optimizing her hypergamy without realizing it until now, though I don't think this was a deliberate part on some evil scheme. No, it's not, dude. It's absolutely, completely natural. It's part of the biological imperative of women. It is what it is. She's just following her female nature, and you didn't know this until now. So it's cool that you recognize. Again, almost done here, guys. Let me see. Yeah, we're almost done. To an extent, I can understand why she has no game, because game takes effort, and in addition to our daughter, you keep saying game. Women don't need game. They just have to look good. That's it. They have to take care of themselves. They have to be physically attractive. They have to be feminine. That's really all the game that they need. They don't have to have game in the sense that guys need to understand, red pill awareness and that sort of stuff. So, in addition to our daughter, she has a full-time job, has to deal with a couple somewhat serious health issues, none of which thankfully prevent her from working. And I see now a person who would use these as excuses. The trouble now is I feel that my wife is just dead weight, and I'm living in her frame and supporting her narrative, which was centered on being a mother, which makes me feel somewhat used and resentful, to say the least. Okay, I could see that. I do my best to hide my dissatisfaction, fake it till you make it, but at times it's very hard, and I know she knows I'm not happy. I'm only speculating, but I feel like the reason she just accepts the situation is because of the practical benefits. Too many to list. Of course. Dude, she's got many benefits. And the fact that you're married in the United States, she doesn't have to chase excellence. Some women will relax after marriage, get lazy, fat, and not make the effort to look attractive. It's only when they're forced back on the sexual marketplace, if her man leaves her, that she might do some work, that she might go and get the braces and, commit to it. There's a ton of women out on the SMV, the SMP, that have gone through divorce, whether they've left their husband or their husband left them, that have signed up for the yoga classes, they've gotten the teeth straightening, Invisaligns, they've had cosmetic surgery to fix things that gravity have destroyed or childbirth have destroyed. They'll do the work then for sure. But under the protection of family law, there's not a lot of motivation. That's one of the problems that you run into in marriage in the Western world, is the protection of family law is so in the feminine side, like in the female's favor. They don't have to do the work if they don't want to, and they're fairly well protected. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm only speculating. She accepts the situation because of practical benefits. Too many lists. We just talked about that. That I provide her more than anything else. I know hypergamy says women will jump ship as soon as something better comes along. Now, hypergamy doesn't say that women will jump ship as soon as something better comes along. They are going to be inclined to optimize it should something better come along. So if you're a 4 and she's an 8, and Steve shows up from accounting one day to her desk to ask to borrow a stapler, that's an opportunity for her maybe to consider that. She'd have to suppress that, just like you'd have to suppress your desire to scatter seed should a 21-year-old hot student hit on you, right? But I don't really see her doing this, at least in any time in the future, because to her credit, I think she realizes that she's going to be very hard to top what she has with me. Sounds about right on what she has to offer to a potential partner. Thus, if any move gets made, it's probably going to be on my end. I've gotten to the part of looking into getting divorced and have actively consulted with an attorney so I can understand the process. The lawyer was of the opinion that I would come out of the divorce in fine financial shape in the long term, could buy out my wife in a settlement without owing her any further support given our current situation, assets, and would likely receive joint custody of our daughter. Apparently the courts in our county are a little more progressive when it comes to how men are treated with respect to family law. I know that there's more shared parenting arrangements in the state of Florida than many of the other states. I mean, Florida, for example, is far more friendly than a state like California when it comes to men. So you do have a slight advantage there, but it's not going to prevent her from, throwing a domestic violence allegation against you, for example, which is like a trump card that women can use during the course of the divorce to basically get you pulled out of the house, remove access, and completely change the dynamic of the divorce process. You got to be careful with that. I'll maybe talk about that a little bit more. There have been several times over the last few years that divorce has been discussed between the two of us, brought up by him, because I'm clearly the one wanting out. And it ends with her hysterically crying and then me capitulating and saying everything was okay, and then having some kind of makeup sex. Then I usually feel guilty for the rest of the day and wake up the next day feeling miserable. Dude, you don't need antidepressants. You need to fix this situation that you're in. That's why you're depressed. Because you're unhappy with your marriage. You're not attracted to the woman that you're married to. That's why you're depressed. You don't need fucking pills, dude. Okay. I've also actively consulted with both my parents about getting divorced. They themselves are divorced. I tried keeping this hidden from my wife, but she ended up unintentionally seeing an email on my phone my father had written me about divorce, and now she knows that I'm doing this. I have no idea what back channel conversation she's having, but since her father's a lawyer, I can speculate this may be happening. At any rate, I have probably given you plenty, if not too many details, so I'm curious to hear your take on this matter, your response in exchange for the sponsor request, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Options, possible responses. I'm the guy in this space that gives, prescriptive advice, I suppose. Some people don't like to do that, but I suppose I have no problem having that conversation. So let's do that. What are your options? Well, you're married in the state of Florida. So as you've learned from consulting the lawyer, you could exit, provided things go well, which isn't a guarantee. So you could exit reasonably without getting divorce raped too badly. If she makes half as much as you and you've been married for a period of time, I don't know what the law says for alimony, but you're definitely going to be on the hook for child support because there's going to be a discrepancy in income. But talk to the lawyer about what those numbers look like. I think the biggest risk is going to be if you get divorced, it goes very badly for you. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. There's always a leavor and a leavee in a relationship breakdown. And in a divorce, if the leavee is the woman, she can't, there's a lot of tools that are available in the feminine toolbox during the course of a divorce to make your life miserable. Very, very hard to go over all those options. In fact, if you really want to have a conversation with it, up here, I'll put a link or my Clarity coaching call link. It's clarity.fm/Richard Cooper. I'd encourage you to book a call so you can plan it a little bit better and I can get a little more understanding as far as what you're dealing with. So on that exit. So that's one option. Again, don't walk into it with the lawyer's advice of it looks like you're going to do well. There are a number of things to consider. There's no guarantee that you're going to do well. That would be the best case scenario. The best case scenario would be shared parenting arrangement. The assets are divided fairly evenly and you're out and you're free sort of thing. And, you probably have to throw some money at her for some time while your daughter's growing up. That would be the best case scenario. The worst case scenario could be the exact opposite. She gets all the, she gets control of pretty much everything, including your daughter, decision-making capacity. You get thrown into the house. You might spend a couple of nights in jail. It could go very badly. So don't think for a minute that it's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. So there's that. Other options. You can't negotiate desire. You're not going to encourage her to get her teeth straight and lose weight, go to therapy. You've tried that and you saw what the outcome is. It's put you on medication, on antidepressants, which is a huge problem. That's not healthy. I don't think that living that way is going to be good for you. The whole notion of marriage, in my view, in today's world, it's kind of outdated. 10,000 years ago, it made sense when we wanted to make sure that our genetic legacy was passed down to our own kids, and the horse, the farm, the ox, and the chickens and the land went to our own, gene pool. That's pretty much where it came from. But in today's world, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And, feminism has influenced family law to the sense where it can be very costly to a man exiting a marriage. I don't think she's going to initiate it. She may, but I don't think that she will. It seems like it's going to come from you. Scenarios like this happen to women where their guys get fat, lazy, and incompetent. Because they figure that, till death do us part, I do, blah, 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 and everything will be fine. And it's easy for them to leave, and the law protects them. But when a guy wants to leave, the law does not protect you. The opposite's true. It's higher risk for you. So there's that. What about opening up the marriage? Can you have a conversation with her and just say, look, we're going to open up the marriage in a couple weeks. I'm going to start seeing other people. I'm glad that you're my child's mother. Let's carry on doing this. When she moves out, when she gets older, you can wind things down. Some people do that. Look up some information, maybe perhaps on opening up the marriage. That might be a way for you to satisfy your sexual desires. Some people do it and it saves the marriage. Some people do it and, things just kind of move along and you guys continue to parent your child or children together. And, you can go that way, but it doesn't give you true and ultimate freedom. There's still going to be limitations, restrictions. There's going to be a limit on your ability to maneuver. It could still potentially be problematic. She could go completely batshit crazy and, basically ruin your life with family law. So that's a potential fallout of it. Usually they can go well, from what I understand, if your SMV is considerably higher than hers, but not all women are going to be receptive. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback in the comments below. I've offered a lot of feedback during the course of reading it and towards the end here. I don't really have a magic wand to wave on this one for you. You made some critical errors. You married the first chick that you lost your virginity to. I don't know that you vetted her properly or not. It seems like, she's not giving you that much in the way of problems, aside from the fact that you find her annoying and unattractive. Why would you marry somebody that's annoying? But maybe she became annoying after the marriage. I don't know. Hard to break that one down, but it's on you, dude. You got to do a little bit of homework on it. Divorce might be the only way out. Opening up the marriage might be another potential solution. I can't make her look pretty, do her hair, straighten her teeth, any of those things. I would imagine at some point you found her attractive. It sounds like you did, but her SMV declined over time because she's the one that relaxed. Can't change that. You've pursued excellence. You've set the bar. You've done the work, and she doesn't want to continue to do that. And you're at the point where you're unhappy, where you're on meds. You got to do something. You cannot ride this out. In my view, guys, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Our lives are like an hourglass. When the last sand drops to the bottom and that's it, and your heart stops beating and you're cold and dead in the ground, who knows what happens after that? You can speculate everything from reincarnation to afterlife to the pearly gates and all that. But we have no evidence of that. So live your life for you. Make yourself your own mental point of origin. The only person that's going to be able to correct this deficiency is going to be you. This is like some shit that nobody else out there is going to tell you. I'm the guy in Bomber Command giving you the cold hard truth bombs, telling you what it's all about. Before I wrap up, shout out to my channel sponsor, the Tactical Soap Company. There's a link pinned in the description below. You're showering anyway, you might as well use pheromone infused soap from a channel sponsor that helps support the creation of the work on this channel. It's a great product. I've talked about it before. Actually, this shirt came from my buddy Scott that manufactures the soap. Also got this beard balm brush, which is a cool little balm applicator / brush combination. You brush it in, applies at the same time. You can basically straighten out your beard. My beard's a little messy today. It needs a trim. So there's 2 sponsors there on the channel. Also, before I wrap up, going to say real quick, if you want to join my men's community, we've updated the community page with some more information about what you get when you join. There's a premium video library, monthly Q&A, which is private, a private discussion forum, both on the website, and a closed Facebook page. You get VIP access to live broadcasts, so front of the line access. So if I'm doing a before the train wreck broadcast, for example, I'm going to link the call-in number to you guys first before it goes public. VIP access to events. So if there's events or conferences, you guys will get first access to the discounted rate, the cheapest rate. And I also have a monthly coaching program, which is the top tier for my membership, where you get one-on-one coaching with me. You can take that through several months if there's something you need to work on. If you want to sponsor a video, it's on this tab over here, Entrepreneurs in Cars / request. Sorry, this one over here I should say is / community. This one's on request. So this gentleman did a request. It's a sponsored video. And that's it. Big screen. Thanks for checking out today's video. Leave a comment below for this guy. Let us know if you've experienced something like this yourself and how you evaluated yourself as far as next steps. Thanks for sponsoring the video, my friend. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys out there. It's closing up on the end of, 2018. Let's make 2019 a great year. See you guys in the next video. Peace.